Hey guys, just out for a bit of a brain walk. I'm walking in the maize fields, which are very, very big at the moment. So they must be like 10 foot tall. But it's a nice time for me to have some peace and quiet. I know when I come for a walk at this time of night that no one's going to ask me for any help. And I know that sounds horrible, but it means I can just come out and enjoy the peace and quiet and the nature. So, or the silence you can hear, like the insects. I tried to record this in Featherstail, and Featherstail is getting so full it's nearly impossible to make a video in there. Everyone disturbs you, or dogs come and make a noise. It's just a nightmare. So go out for a nighttime walk. And there's been something on my mind, which is what I tried to make a video about for a few weeks, but today it's been on my mind a lot, and that is about a thing called Patreon. Now, I'm making this video to ask you guys your thoughts and your opinion on Patreon. And for those of you who don't know what it is, I'll try and explain what I've read from the website. So Patreon, I'm going to stand still. Patreon is a platform that I've seen YouTubers are using, and then persons can share a little bit with them each month to help them to carry on producing content. So that is Patreon, and my whole point in making this is to ask you guys whether you think I should have a Patreon account. I mean, it's up to you guys who watch whether or not you think it's a good idea or not. The reason I'm thinking about it is I don't want any financial remuneration for what I do. That hasn't changed. I still will always be a volunteer. But to be a volunteer, to be a missionary in East Africa, in a capitalist system, does require some money. Now, I get support from friends and family every month. I get like £150, and I use that for food for Fritzy and I, and I've used that for my last permit. But right now, for example, I have $2,000 to find to pay for permits for me and Fritzy, and those will last us 2 years, but they're a new permit, so they're more expensive than what my last one was 2 years ago. And I can't work out where to take that money from. I mean, I get donations, and I know the charity can't run without me, but I still like to say all of the donations go towards either helping fund Tanzanian staff or helping where the problems are needed without any middlemen. And I feel in taking money, I'm taking that away because I'm becoming like a middleman where I have to take some money to be here. And I'd love to have a charity where I say my ability to be in country and to run everything that I'm running is made available without donations for the children. That's done externally in another way. So a Patreon for me firstly would pay for that. Now, I mentioned that my family send money every month, and every year my family save up and they send a flight so I can come home at Christmas. And this is wonderful, but there's two of us now, and Fritzy's family have kind enough said that they would do the same for her. But our families are not wealthy, and they're only doing it out of the kindness of the fact that they're parents and their families. And long may it continue, and I know they'll keep doing that, but I'd also love it if... This is what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm off the mark with how this Patreon should work. Maybe I shouldn't do it this way, but to support myself and Fritzy so we could have our permits, money to pay for our permits every 2 years, to pay for a flight home even once every 2 years would be great as well. And the other thing, which is a little bit different, that I would love to use if I did open a Patreon, if I did get supporters, I don't know if I even would or not, if you all think it's a stupid idea, let me know as I say, but is I'm now a father to over 30 children, and I'm new at being a father. In fact, I'm only 1.5 years into that journey. I have more than 30 who call me father and look to me as father. But something I recall from being a child is my parents would treat me from time to time. Now, I know it doesn't seem important, but God taught me that it is. Now, a few months ago I had this where I took all the children swimming to a lodge and bought them lunch there. And it was a Western lodge for tourists. It cost us like $40 to do. And I felt so guilty, and I said to God, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this. And as I left, I went to the supermarket and I had one of the disabled children in my arms, and the Indian man came and spoke to us, asked about Monica, who was in my arms, and gave me $100 and walked away. So God was saying, no, you need to do these things. Because, you know, my children still live with the memories of their past lives, and all of them come from traumatic experiences, but they also live in Tanzania. And Tanzania, just in general, is an intense place to live for them. And what I'm trying to say is I'd like to be able to treat them. And if I were a father in the West, I'd work. I'd go and work and earn money and treat them. But here, my work is running everything and I don't get paid for that. So I don't get money to treat my children that way. And I have things that I really want to do, like this Boys in the Street Children's Centre. I really want to take them to the national parks on safari. Because they've never seen the animals, and an experience like that can change a child. I know it can. It's so beautiful and magical there and very healing, that I know it'll spur some of them to say, okay, I now I want to focus and get my head down and I want to become a safari driver, which one of them has done without seeing the animals. But this is the sort of thing I want to do. I want to treat them like any father would, you know. I want to be able to say, we're going here and we're going to have a day trip. And I know it's not life or death that they have it, but they've all had such difficult lives. When I can't do that for them, which I can't at the moment, it does hurt me to see that, because I feel like they deserve more. Maybe just because I've grown up in the West, but I just think it would be good for them if I had that ability. So this is what, if I do open one and I do get any support, however small or large, it would go towards those three things. It would go towards permits, and it would go towards a flight. I'd love one every year, but once every 2 years would even be sufficient because they're quite expensive. And also to have free money to the children that are in our care and those to come into our care, to be able to treat them. Like, I guess many of you who are parents watching this try and find a way to treat your children too, but at the moment I have no way to treat them. Donations I get are for important issues like drugs for children, mattresses for children sleeping on the floor, building houses for homeless people. I'm not going to use that money to treat children. However many times God sends me to a lodge and replaces it with $100, I don't think he's going to do that every single time, you know. So this is what I would use it for. Oh, there's one other thing as well, actually. Like it or not, being here, well, no, we'll leave it at that for now, because that's another whole video in itself I was going to talk about. But yeah, that's what should I open a Patreon? Is it a good idea? Go check out the website, tell me what you think. Would you think it's a good idea, or does it change the way people will view things? Because I don't want financial remuneration for what I do. I want to do what I do for free, but I want the ability to be able to see the family that I love back in the West easily without putting them under strain, of course. I want to be able to get our permits without taking the money from the charity, which I could do, but that money is better spent somewhere else. I know it is. I see it. And then I can say, truly, we are a charity where all of the money goes towards helping Tanzania, helping a developing country. Nothing goes towards paying for a white man to be inside the country, paying for a foreigner to be inside the country. That's taken care of elsewhere. Every single penny or cent will go to the children or to our staff, who in turn were in serious poverty, most of them anyway. So, and the other thing would be to allow me to fill my role as a father in a better way, I feel, to be able to take the children and treat them, and to be able to take them to go swimming at one of the lodges sometimes, and just to, you know, just to take them out and to do something other than just the normal everyday stuff that we do every day. Because even here, even Tanzanian parents, at the bottom of their own, I know most don't, but those with a little bit extra, they'll still try and treat their kids somehow, you know. And I just don't have that option, and it doesn't feel right. And when I've thought about how I could use a Patreon, obviously I could use the money directly towards the children, but I thought the way it seems designed is to support the person making the videos, and if you were to support, if I was to ask for support, then I'll make it clear the only things I need, the only things Fritzy and I need here, our food's covered for by the land and eating with everyone else here. So the only thing we need is the permits, which nobody else needs to be here. Flights, because we do miss our families and we do love them, and our families are, at the moment, mine are paying for mine, but I mean Fritzy's on the scene now as well, and hers have offered, but it's just a lot to put on your family constantly. And the third thing would be to be able to treat them all sometimes, which I think God agrees is a must after my experience with the $100, like I say, but I just don't know how many times he's going to make someone appear and give me $100 in the supermarket. I think it was a one-off just to teach me a lesson, you know. So, okay. So, Patreon, thoughts, what should I do? Let me know. Much love, guys.